And welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. The time has finally come for a long-awaited and very seriously worked for event, and that is going to be the departure of all 6 of these ships from Kerbal orbit. They've all been put into position, they've all been refueled, their maneuvers have been planned, and it's time to send them on their way. Let's see here. Now this ship is the one for Eve. Let me check the name. Yes, this is the Eve ship. And we're starting with this one because its launch window opens in 9 hours. So let's go ahead and select this and restore the maneuver node. Close this up and have a look here. Go ahead and close the alarm for now. And here's our departure. And we'll be ending up in a retrograde orbit somewhat. Well, a retrograde solar orbit. And so now it's time to time warp ahead until it's time for the burn. I've got these alarms set to kick in with a 20-minute warning so that we'll have time to get the ship aligned and ready in position for the burn. And with a 250 kilometer orbit, we can warp quite quickly. And get through 9 hours in a lot less time than at a low orbit. Okay, 10,000 X is plenty. Or 1,000 X, excuse me, I think that's what it was. Yeah. Alarm clock should start stepping down the time arc rate here real soon. All right. Okay. All right, time warp halted. Node is already in, so we'll go ahead and delete the alarm. Close. And now let's go ahead and bring up our flight info and the smart ASS and begin getting the ship lined up on the maneuver node. That's going to take a while because this thing is slow to maneuver around, because we're getting like 4 and 5 frames per second at the moment. And so I will get this thing ready to go and be back when it's time to start this burn. Alright, here we are, and according to my notes, burn needs to start at 10 minutes and 54 seconds, so let's go. And this is why I've got the orbit out as far as it is, because you can see the direction the ship is pointing right at the moment. But if you look at the map view, the orbit, alright, here we are. The periapsis is coming down, but this way the periapsis should not get low enough to actually be within the atmosphere, so we won't have that to make up for. Now we've got, oh, wait a minute, cut throttle. 15-minute 30-second burn is the new estimate. Divide that in half and get 1513 divided by 2, give it about 7 minutes. Okay, that will actually be better. It'll put us closer to the maneuver node and less likely to be pointing at the planet when we burn. So let's warp time ahead to T-minus 7 minutes. Yeah, this is much better. It'll still drag the periapsis down a bit, but that will not be so severe. Get to 7 minutes dead on, I think. And we burn. First of 6 departures is underway. Now, because a lot of this is going to be long burns, I'm going to do a combination of 4x video and just plain cuts to get it done. We're drawing down to the end of the fuel in this tank, and I'm sure you've noticed how much this thing has begun to wobble and have a very big difficulty keeping pointed in the right direction. So I think what I'm going to do is start out by cutting the throttle, and then I'm going to fix something. I should not have deleted that alarm. I'm going to re-add this alarm. No future nodes found. In other words, I can't re-add it. Okay. I'm going to hope then that when I undock this portion here, the maneuver node doesn't disappear. We will do a control from here on that part of it. And now we will undock this section. If I can get the right thing clicked on. Undock. Okay, we still have our maneuver node. And now we'll activate the engines on this section. Looking good. We have them all activated. I know these are still showing here, but they shouldn't be. Okay, we're still lined up with our maneuver node, and let's complete the burn. And by the way, because these burns are turning out to be so incredibly long, I think from now on I'm just going to cut to the end of them. Start out with low thrust just to pull away. As that ship, as we get some clearance from it, go ahead and spool back up to full thrust and complete the burn. Alright, our burn is very nearly completed. And we're just about on our way here. Start throttling down. And by the way, I tried using physics acceleration to speed this up, and it just couldn't handle it. And now we're chasing a node all over the place. Cut. The number was starting to go back up. Okay. First thing we do is get rid of this maneuver node. Okay, and our actual course has a Minmus encounter with a 1,016 kilometer periapsis. Thinking that should be okay because there's still a Kerbal escape afterwards. So I'm going to go ahead and let that go for the moment. And then we'll just go back here to switch back to this XD Drive Mark V that was a booster. And let's see about sending it back home. And it's in this really high orbit. We have an apoapsis clear out here at 3,073 kilometers. So let's pop a maneuver in here. Give it a little bit of retrograde thrust. Bring the periapsis down for a re-entry. Periapsis will be 24 kilometers. That should easily be enough to get this thing back in. Alright, so we will assume aiming at the node, time warp ahead, and do this burn and send this bird back home. Its mission is accomplished. Saved a lot of fuel from, okay, these things are re-enabled, that's good. Let's time warp ahead. Trying not to overshoot. That should be good enough. And let's burn. All right. Periapsis, 24 kilometers. Okay. Aim at prograde. No, retrograde. Makes more sense. We're doing a re-entry. We don't need this. As soon as we're oriented, we'll go ahead and time warp down to where it cuts out at 70. I think we can get rid of the lower stage now. Okay, that wasn't planned. But it's certainly colorful. There goes the solar panels that I forgot to retract, but it doesn't really matter in this case. Main thing now is to slow down enough to deploy the parachutes and get away from this thing behind us. Some rather high ground here. Let's go ahead and hit the chutes. Let's come. I see a problem here. The ground is coming up awfully fast, and these chutes are not going to open until 500. They should open at 500 above ground level, not above sea level. because the ground is considerably higher than 500. Oh, good. It did open at 500 above ground level. Excellent. I'm not seeing a shadow yet. There it is. And we're down. Safe landing. All right. And now to switch to the next ship on the appointment calendar after we end this flight. All right. I was looking at the alarm clock, and we've got 21 days before the next departure. So I thought I'd have a look at this one here for Eve, because I am a little concerned about this Minmus encounter. With the periapsis that high, it shouldn't affect our course very much, but I want to go ahead and warp through this and make sure that everything is okay. I can see a course correction coming up. Just to make sure that we're actually on course for Eve. Okay, there goes Minmus. Minmus escape. We're on heading for Kerbal escape in 9 hours. Let's go ahead and speed that up. Alright, now kill our time warp and zoom out. Go ahead and set Eve as the target. And yeah, there is definitely going to have to be some course correction going on here. I'm going to throw a maneuver down at apoapsis and see if we can fix that. Not to Okay, maybe it does need to be that direction. Okay, we had close approach markers there, so let's get those back. Awfully huge separation, 13 million kilometers. 13 million kilometers. That's not so good. So there will definitely need to be a course correction here. And that's not going to cut it. Oh. Looks like 0.9 is about the best we're going to get right now. Okay, here's our Eve encounter. 126 days. Assuming we make this maneuver in 80 days from now. So let's add the alarm. Eve fuel mid-course correction. 10-minute lead time. Okay. That is now scheduled. And now let's see, our next one in line is the Dres launch. So let's go ahead and jump to that and restore the maneuver node. Okay, we have 20 days before the Dres launch. And so I will warp time up to burn time and then get this thing aligned, and I'll be back. Alright, we've just jumped over to the Dres launch. A note here, 10 minutes and 0 seconds worth of burn time. So I'll go ahead and get this thing lined up with the maneuver node. Close the alarm. Note this time I did not delete the alarm right away. So I'll get this thing lined up, and then when it's 5 minutes before the burn, I will spool the engines up to full thrust for a second or two just to see how long this burn is going to actually have to be. And then we'll adjust the burn time accordingly. Alright, we're in position, warping ahead to T-minus 5 minutes, which is what the predicted burn start time is. And when we get there, I'll spool the engines up and find out what the actual estimated burn is. Okay, this one's looking better. We're not actually pointing at the planet. Alright, spool up to full thrust. Estimated burn 25 minutes. Okay, I will definitely be making a cut. And once again, we're about ready to ditch our booster. As a matter of fact, it's going to cut throttle. I've used up all the fuel in the Jumbo 64 and some of the fuel out of the FLT 400. What the heck? Okay. I don't know what that was all about. Suddenly changed camera angles on me. Alright, let's control from here. And undock that section. Go ahead and get these engines enabled. And get this thing headed for the rest of its journey. Meanwhile, this piece has an apoapsis of 3,790 kilometers, and its periapsis is still 246, so arranging a re-entry for that will be no problem. And we continue to burn. There it goes. Alright, there's still another 12 minutes of burn remaining, so I'll be back when it's done. Alright, according to the estimate here, we've got another 5.5 minutes of burn time and 505 meters per second of delta V to take care of. At this point, we've burned all of the fuel in the jumbo tank, and we're almost halfway into the fuel in the LTV 400s, FLT 400s. But if you'll notice here, the orange here indicating our current orbit, and the purple indicated the planned orbit, you can see that we're considerably higher up here. So I'm thinking cut the throttle and see about making some kind of a change here. And we can start by removing this little maneuver node. We've got a curb and escape. We do not have any min-miss encounter or anything like that. But this orbit is considerably farther out than this one right here, which is Dres's orbit. Alright, suppose we had a maneuver here at current solar periapsis. See what we can do about getting that Dres encounter. Okay, that doesn't seem to help it any. Okay, this is getting annoying. Get rid of that maneuver node. Let's get out the maneuver planner and see if it can plan a rendezvous. Try to transfer, create node. And it doesn't seem to be helping. Okay, remove the node. Alright, let's try match planes with target at the next ascending node. Oh, not in the same sphere of influence. Well, we can fix that by going ahead and getting out of Kerbal influence. Alright, now let's see if I can do it. Okay, now we have a close approach. Fine-tune closest approach and see what that does. It's not exactly an encounter, but let's see if I can improve that at all. Whoa. Dres encounter, 149 days. Okay, so we add an alarm. Give it 20 minutes lead time. That's a plane change maneuver on the ascending node, and it's in 30 days. No, that isn't. Cancel the new alarm. Let's remove that node. Put in an alarm for this one. Minutes lead. Alright, now fine tune. Adjust this one. We have our Dres encounter. Add an alarm for that. Wait a minute. Okay, that's not right. All right. Close that. Get rid of this. And we'll burn this one, and then we'll concern ourselves with this next one. Okay. Get the ship lined up with the maneuver node. Time warp ahead 6 days and 20 hours, and we'll burn that and see what we get from there.